Hi, welcome to my Compare and Contrast presentation. My name is Zhaoye Chen, and this presentation is for art history from Renaissance to modern art in the West. So here's a little introduction of the artist. Van Gogh's brother Theo introduced him to the new prominent artists in France in 1881. And out of those impressions and new people had an influence on his work and inspire him to be experiment new styles, which is from 1886 to 1888. So 6 weeks after Vincent's death in 1890s, Theo organized a memorial exhibition of his brother's work. Through his wife and brother's hard work, many artists knew about Van Gogh ever since. So coming over to Vermeer, in 1886, Vermeer was selected for the first time the headsman of the Guilds of St. Luke in Delft at the age of 30 for 2 years term. He was the youngest artist to become a headmaster since the guild was founded in 1611. In 1870, in 1670, the French influence, where elegance and grace were more important than traditional objective values, Vermeer's style became favored by the Dutch painters, which is during his maturity and his last year terms. So the importance of the work. First work that I selected to compare is Van Gogh's Vase with Iris against the yellow background. So this work, along with its companion piece Still Life, Vase with Irises, is unusual because this is one of the few still life painted by Van Gogh during his stay at the hospital. It's interesting to notice that Van Gogh's interest in specific color contrast of violet and yellow dates back to his Paris period. Van Gogh again mentioned the violet and yellow contrast, and the latter dated at the same period. Both Vincent and his brother Theo Van Gogh held strong opinion regarding the use of contrast in color. If used effectively according to them, these contrasts would create a powerful visual harmony. So for the Milkmaid, drawn by Vermeer, this one is different than most of Vermeer's work. Instead of an elegant, affluent lady at leisure, we see a sturdy maid at work. The newly independent Netherlands at the time was free from Spanish rule and offered up many opportunities for creation of genre paintings for many Dutch painters, like this one. It is a great representation of everyday occurrences and situation. There's a nice balance between light and darkness in this painting, which created an intimate atmosphere, which made this piece a great example of use of light and darkness. So up to the art ages. So Van Gogh's work was made during the period of modern art and post-impressionism. So impressionism was the beginning of modern art, and more radically than any artist before them in France. So lots of new impressionists took paintings in a new direction, and they did so in a time that where society was very um, unstable and was changing with a very fast speed. So they seized the opportunity to paint not just landscape and people, but all aspects of the changing society which they live in. And the Milkmaid was painted during the Baroque and Dutch Golden Age period. The art of Baroque era seems to be vastly depending on the location, religion, and social standing or relations of the artist, according to an online source. there was finally a more widespread appreciation of art, as well as support from the churches. Of this time, Vermeer's Milkmaid seems to show a bright side of the Baroque era, which has brought some refreshment for the art patrons as well as the church. So now let's look at some details of the vase with irises against the yellow background. So this piece was made in 1890. There's a crisp black contour of the leaves distinguished with complex color and arrangements. So by placing the purple flowers against the yellow background, Van Gogh made a decorative form stand out even more strongly. The irises was originally purple, but as the red pigment faded, they turned to blue, according to the Van Gogh Gallery. According to the online source, this manner of art making indicates that Van Gogh's idea that all art involved in a continuous process of becoming. So there's a clear Japanese influence on this painting, and the diagonal of the flower are set against a background which moves stickily around them. The yellow background highlighted the subject itself and created movement within the painting. At the meantime, Van Gogh also added texture to the background with his brush stroke. Now let's look at some details of the milkmaid. So to distinguish the maid's body from the wall, Vermeer added the white lines around the maid's body to intensify the light and darkness contrast. Like it's shown here in the first picture right here. So the yellow and blue are dominant colors of the milkmaid. The distinguishing feature of Vermeer's palette was his use of expensive natural ultramarine, and this gives his blues an expression and very highlighted vividness, in tunes with his similarity handling of the Latin yellow. So the background is a kitchen wall with Vermeer's subtle use of light. The location and hour suggested by the light was very convincing. The light used in the painting has certain storytelling features that created a nice atmosphere feeling. It is a lifelike portrayal. One can almost hear the milk pouring in the pot and see the milkmaid right in front of us. The light also created a successful contrast between dark and daylight. Now on this slide, I have summarized some differences and similarities between Vermeer and Van Gogh's work. So first, the differences. In organization of these, Van Gogh's vase with irises appeared like the milkmaid reversed. The color combinations in the milkmaid are far more complex and with lots of varieties, and not only limited to yellow and blue. The contrast in these colors is repeated in the rich contrast between the green tablecloth and the maid's red skirt. The focal point of these two works are different as well, where in Vermeer's work our focal point is on the maid, due to her light color hat. In Van Gogh's work, we look at the whole picture and mainly at the flowers. Next is the perspective. So the viewers look at the irises as if it is right in front of us on a table. However, the milkmaid is obviously further from the viewer due to the setting of the foreground. And lastly, we can look at some texture differences, which is shown in the first set of pictures here. So in Vermeer's picture, we see a collection of small white dots, and this texture is suggested here. Also, with a play of lights in Vermeer's painting as well. So noticeable, especially on the bread and on the bread. Okay, so Van Gogh's brushstrokes created a rougher surface on the background than Vermeer's detailed dots. Like shown here, if you look closely, you can see Van Gogh's brushstrokes going down and in the bigger picture is going around the flowers. So lastly, all right. So we will look at similarities in the two paintings. So both the subjects are very still, and they both contains highly contrasted colors, like showing in the sample pictures that I screenshotted. These two, and they're both very diagonal compositions. There are both use of contour lines, and in Vermeer's case, he used white contrasted contour lines, and in Van Gogh's case, he used black lines to um, make the flowers stand out. So here is my works cited page, and thank you so much for watching.